Hey everybody, welcome back. It's time for another deep dive. And you know me, I love to geek out on relationship research. So today we're talking all about this idea of recreation partners.
Oh,
Have you
yeah,
heard of this?
I have. It's fascinating stuff.
Okay, good. So basically we're going to explore how having fun together can actually make for stronger relationships.
Right. It's not just like a nice extra, it's actually really important.
Yeah, exactly. And we've got some really cool stuff to dig into. We've got excerpts from research papers, some relationship guides, and even a quiz.
A quiz.
A quiz. We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
But yeah, by the end of this, you'll totally get why couples who play together stay together.
It's more than just a cute saying, right?
Way more. It's about like real, tangible stuff you can actually use in your own relationship.
I love that.
Yeah.
So where do we start?
Well, let's start with the basics. What exactly are recreation partners?
Okay, so recreation partners, it's kind of like flipping the script. You know, we often think of recreation as separate from our relationship.
Like it's just something you do in your free time.
Right. But being recreation partners means you see shared enjoyment as a powerful tool
Like a tool for what?
for building intimacy, for connection.
Okay, I'm starting to see where this is going. So it's not just about, going to the movies together.
Exactly. It's not just about being in the same room. It's deeper than that. It's about actually enjoying yourselves together.
I like that.
Like, think of it this way. Every time you and your partner genuinely have fun,
Uh-huh.
you're making a deposit into your relationship's emotional bank account.
Okay, I like that analogy a lot. So I'm guessing those deposits come in handy when you're dealing with all the ups and downs of being in a relationship.
Absolutely. Think about it.
Yeah.
Those positive memories become a source of strength.
You can draw on them later.
Exactly. They remind you why you're in this together, even when things get tough.
So it's not just about having fun in the moment.
Yeah.
It's about building a foundation.
A foundation for the long haul.
Yeah, exactly. And speaking of foundations, how does all this connect to like the psychology of relationship?
Well, that's the cool part.
I know, right?
Because you know dopamine.
Yeah, like the feel-good chemical.
Exactly. Our brain releases it when we're happy, when we experience pleasure. So when you share fun activities with your partner, your brain starts to associate them with those positive feelings.
So you're actually wiring your brain to connect fun with your partner.
Exactly.
That's so cool.
It's like this powerful feedback loop. The more fun you have together, the more you want to keep having fun. And the stronger the bond gets.
Makes sense.
Right.
Oh, you know what I just remembered? One of those research papers talked about how important novelty is in relationships.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one.
Does that tie into this whole recreation partners idea?
100%. Think about it. Like the early stages of a relationship, everything feels so new and exciting.
It's all butterflies and rainbows.
Well, part of that spark comes from trying new things together, you know? As relationships mature, it's easy to fall into routines.
Which isn't always a bad thing.
Not at all. Routines can be good, but, you gotta inject some novelty.
Keep it fresh.
Yeah. Reignite that sense of adventure.
It's like adding a little spice to the relationship recipe.
I love that. And speaking of spice, you know that quiz we were talking about?
Oh, yeah? The Recreational Enjoyment Inventory. That thing had like 125 activities on it.
It was wild.
Everything from rock climbing to wine tasting to like calligraphy.
It's amazing.
I think that could really help couples figure out what they enjoy doing together,
Right.
what they're passionate about.
Totally. Sometimes we get so caught up in our daily lives that we forget to explore.
We forget to have fun,
Right. So the quiz helps spark those conversations, and it gets couples thinking.
thinking about what they actually enjoy.
Exactly.
This is great. So we've got this psychological foundation, the dopamine, the novelty, but what about the sociology of all this?
Oh, there's a lot there too. Like this concept of social capital.
Okay,
Have you heard of that?
I have, but remind me.
Sure. So social capital, it's basically about the networks of relationships
Okay.
and the shared values that benefit us.
Us as individuals and as communities.
Exactly. In a romantic relationship, it's like building up this reserve
A reserve of what?
of trust, understanding, shared experiences. That helps you get through tough times together.
So like investing in a joint savings account.
Yes. A savings account of goodwill and resilience.
That's a good one.
Right. And every time you laugh together, every time you overcome a challenge together,
Or just enjoy each other's company.
you're making a deposit into that account
So it's not just about having fun. It's about building a strong relationship.
from the inside out.
I'm loving this.
And all those shared experiences, they actually tap into role theory too.
Role theory. Now that sounds interesting. Tell me more.
So role theory, basically it says we take on different roles in different situations.
Okay, that makes sense.
Like think about all the roles you play in your life. You're an employee, you're a friend, a sibling, maybe a coach or a mentor.
Right. We're all wearing different hats.
Exactly. And when you do things together with your partner, you get to see each other in these new roles.
So it's like you're seeing a different side of them.
Yeah. And that can add a whole new dimension to the relationship.
Like maybe you discover your partner's like a super competitive board game player.
Right. Or maybe they're secretly amazing at karaoke.
That would be a fun discovery.
It would. And it can lead to this deeper appreciation for each other.
Like, wow, I didn't know you had that in you.
Exactly. It's like those couples who take up ballroom dancing.
Oh, yeah. Suddenly they're not just husband and wife.
They're dance partners.
Working together, moving in sync.
And that shift in roles can create this sense of we're in this together.
It's bonding.
Super bonding.
Okay, so we've talked about the psychology,
Okay.
we've talked about the sociology.
You're getting deep here.
I know, but now let's get practical.
Let's do it.
What can we actually do to become better recreation partners?
Well, one of the best things, and this comes up in the research a lot, is to schedule recreation dates.
Recreation dates.
Yeah.
I like that. What does that look like?
It's simple, really. Just put it on your calendar.
Like a doctor's appointment?
Exactly. But instead of a checkup, it's a date with your partner.
A date for fun.
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be anything fancy. It could be an hour on a Wednesday night for a board game.
Or like a walk after dinner a few times a week.
Exactly. The key is to make it a regular thing.
A non-negotiable.
Yes. Because let's be honest, life gets busy.
Way too busy.
So this helps you make time for each other.
For quality time.
Yeah. You're prioritizing your relationship.
And you're prioritizing fun.
Which is so important. Plus,
What?
you know, it takes away that whole decision fatigue thing.
You don't have to scramble to figure out what to do.
It's already on the calendar.
Brilliant. Okay, so we've got these recreation dates scheduled.
Yeah.
What else can we do?
Remember how we were talking about novelty?
Mm-hmm.
Learning a new skill together is a great way to bring that in.
Oh, I love that. Like what?
It could be anything. A cooking class, learning a new language, trying rock climbing.
So many possibilities.
The options are endless.
And there's something so cool about overcoming challenges together.
You're celebrating those little victories along the way.
Talk about a love bank deposit.
Right. You're creating this feeling of, we did this together.
Which brings you closer.
Exactly. Okay, but let's get real for a second.
Okay.
What about those couples who have totally different interests?
That's a good question.
Like one person loves extreme sports and the other prefers staying in with a good book.
Can they still be recreation partners?
Absolutely. Remember, it's not about having the exact same interests.
It's about finding common ground.
Yeah. And maybe pushing yourselves a little.
Step out of that comfort zone.
Exactly. Maybe the extreme sports fan tries a chill hike with their partner.
Or the bookworm goes to a sporting event.
It's about finding that balance.
And being willing to try things you might not normally do.
And you never know. You might actually enjoy it.
That hike could be more fun than you thought.
Or maybe you'll find yourself getting really into that game.
You get swept up in the energy.
It happens.
Mm.
And you know what? It doesn't always have to be these big planned activities.
What do you mean?
Sometimes the best moments are the small, everyday things.
Like what?
Cooking dinner together, taking a walk after work.
Just hanging out.
Yeah. It's about turning those ordinary moments into opportunities for connection.
And fun.
Exactly. And those little love bank deposits, they really add up.
I bet.
But I know what you're thinking.
What?
This all sounds great, but life is crazy. How do we find the time?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right. But here's the thing. We make time for what's important.
So it's about priorities.
It is.
And maybe being a little more flexible with our schedule.
Maybe saying no to a few things.
Delegating some tasks.
Yeah. Or maybe it's just turning off the TV an hour earlier.
Putting down your phones.
Going for a walk.
It doesn't have to be complicated.
It really doesn't. And you know, it's okay to let go of that idea that it has to be perfect.
Like Instagram worthy.
Right. Sometimes the best moments are the spontaneous ones.
Ones that just happen.
Exactly.
But even with the best intentions,
Fun.
even with all these great ideas, things can get a little stale sometimes.
That's true. What happens when the usual activities just aren't doing it for you anymore?
It's true. It's like anything else. You do it too much, and it's not as fun.
Yeah, and that's okay. It's normal. Doesn't mean you're doing anything wrong. It just means you got to shake things up.
I like that.
Yeah.
So how do we do that? Do we just keep trying new things from that recreational enjoyment inventory?
That could work, but it's also about being open to new things in general. You know, remember that spark of adventure?
Yeah.
Maybe it's time to try something totally different.
Something you've never even thought of before.
Exactly.
Okay, so instead of our usual Friday night movie, We could try a weekend trip to a national park
That's a great idea.
or a cooking class for a type of food we've never even had.
Ooh, I like that.
Or maybe something even more adventurous, like a hot air balloon ride,
You're getting it. It's about pushing those boundaries a little.
stepping outside that comfort zone.
Exactly. Remind yourselves that there's so much out there to experience together.
Okay, so big adventures,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes it doesn't have to be that big, right?
Yeah. Like, maybe we could just tweak our usual routine.
Oh, so.
Like, instead of just movie night, we have a themed movie night.
Oh, fun.
We could dress up, make themed snacks.
I love it. It's all about bringing back that playfulness.
That sense of novelty.
Exactly. But even with the best intentions, even with all these amazing ideas,
What?
there are going to be challenges.
That's true.
No relationship is perfect. And sometimes those challenges can feel like roadblocks.
On the path to becoming recreation partners.
Right. But I think it helps to see those challenges as opportunities.
Opportunities for what?
Growth. Deeper connection.
So when we hit a snag, we don't get discouraged.
We see it as a chance to learn,
To adapt.
to become even stronger as a couple.
Oh, I like that. And remember that social capital we were talking about?
Yeah.
Maybe going through those challenges together actually helps build that up.
It's like working out a muscle.
The more you use it, the stronger it gets.
Exactly. So all those times you have to compromise.
Or communicate your needs. Figure out how to make things work even though you're different.
Those are actually good for our relationship.
In the long run, yeah.
Yeah.
And let's be real, sometimes those challenges can be kind of funny looking back.
You're right. I could already see us in like 10 years laughing at that time we got totally lost on a hike.
Or completely messed up that recipe in cooking class.
It's part of our story.
It adds character.
It shows that we can get through anything.
Especially if we can laugh about it along the way.
That's a good point. It takes the pressure off.
It does. You don't have to be perfect all the time.
It's okay to embrace the messiness of life.
And the unpredictability.
Makes it more interesting, right?
Exactly. It's those unexpected moments, those vulnerable moments that create the best memories.
Wow, this has been so eye-opening.
Has it?
I feel like I have a whole new understanding of what it means to be recreation partners.
Me too. And I hope everyone listening feels inspired to try this out in their own lives.
Me too.
Yeah.
So before we go, any final takeaways for our listeners?
Okay, first things first. Remember that having fun together, it's not just a nice bonus, it's essential for a healthy relationship.
It's about making time for joy, making time for connection,
And it doesn't have to be these big fancy things. Sometimes the best moments are the simple ones.
like sharing a laugh,
Oh,
having a spontaneous dance party in the kitchen.
reading a book together.
It's about being present, savoring the little joys.
Perfectly said. And one last thing. Even when things get tough, remember those challenges can actually make your relationship stronger.
It's about approaching those challenges with an open mind and a sense of humor.
And a willingness to try new things.
Well said, my friend. It looks like our deep dive into the world of recreation partners has come to an end.
But the journey continues.
That's right. So go out there, apply what you've learned, and never stop exploring those opportunities for shared fun and connection.
The world is full of adventures, just waiting to be discovered.
Happy exploring.